Hey guys, I thought I'd go over the next 12 weeks of programming. I know this is something people have been asking for a while. I hope it helps coaches scale athletes. Athletes, I hope it gets you excited about workouts you maybe normally wouldn't be too jazzed up about. I think the easiest way to do this is just to review how I write programming in general before delving into the nitty gritty of each like sort of 12-week block. Boom. So let's just get my face out of the way here so we can take a look at what we're working with. So I write our programming in 12-week blocks, and it's focused around the CrossFit hierarchy of development or athletic development. So at the base, it's a pyramid like all hierarchies sort of tend to be. At the base, we have nutrition. Unfortunately, our workout programming can't really help us too much with nutrition. So after nutrition, we have conditioning, which is where this sort of big general year-long block started with 12 weeks of conditioning. Following that, we have a focus on gymnastics before weightlifting, and then finally sport, which is where we're now. So when CrossFit says sport, they actually mean that top of the pyramid is learning and playing new sports. Unfortunately, it's pretty challenging to do that on a day-to-day basis in the gym. So we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with it and focus on the sport of CrossFit, which is handy because in the middle of this cycle, we have the CrossFit Open popping up. And then at the end, we're going to finish with CrossFit's online quarterfinals. So a couple of sport of fitness events. It should be important to note that while each 12-week cycle has a name, they're all focused on general physical preparedness. I just like to bias it just a little bit so you guys can focus on one thing, or if you really want to improve that one thing, make sure you get in a little bit more regularly during that time period. But people are making progress on everything at all times. It's just to help you guys sort of like guide yourselves or guide your goals a little bit as we're moving through and give us something to work towards each 12-week period. So a good example of this in practice would be our weightlifting cycle we just concluded. So each training day includes a variety, or each training block includes 4 types of days. We have benchmark days, training days, skill days, and recovery days. Benchmark days are going to give us a focus on both the 12 weeks as well as the wider overall picture of our health. One of the core tenets of CrossFit is testing and retesting yourself. And so each cycle does start with a benchmark day, but you'll see other benchmark days throughout the cycle. And these are going to be repeat workouts that you've probably done before or maybe you'll be doing again in the future. It's important to note with benchmark days, we have a version of the workout, usually 3 different versions, and our coaches, or we should be encouraging you guys, athletes, to pick the hardest version you can do safely instead of mixing and matching. And that's just so you have a clear baseline that you can retest later. So typically we have you guys like pick a perfect scale for each movement for each day. On these benchmark days, we want you to try and pick one version. So for this cycle, which we'll get into in a second, we're doing the classic 11.6, 12.5, or open 18.5 Fran version of AMRAP 7, 3 thruster, 3 chest to bar, 6 thruster, 6 chest to bar, 9 thruster, 9 chest to bar. And of that workout, there's 3 different versions. There's the RX version that is exactly what it says with a 65-pound barbell for ladies, 100-pound barbell for the boys. The scaled version, which we're going to have a lighter thruster and jumping chin over bar pull-ups, and then finally a foundations version, which is going to be an even lighter thruster and some ring rows. So our coaches will help you, and athletes, you should come to prepared to kind of knowing where you're at to figure out the best version of or the hardest version of that workout you can do safely, and then you're going to get a baseline score. You're going to retest that baseline score on March 25th. Boom. And then we have some other benchmarks kind of like focused on the CrossFit Open sprinkled in. And these are workouts we've done before. So before we start the Open, we have last year's first Open workout. And then we have one of my favorite Open workouts from a few years ago now coming up. And in SugarWOD, there'll be 3 versions of each of these workouts. And maybe if you've done them before, you can kind of get excited to do them again. So then our other days are training days, skill days, and recovery days. Each of these days is geared towards improving our benchmark scores in just slightly different ways. Training days are the meat and potatoes. They're going to be the days where coaches help you scale each workout perfectly for you. And athletes, those are going to be days where you want to kind of like have a goal. It's like, hey, I'm going to work on this skill. I'm going to work on that skill. I'm going to really train myself to be better. Our skill days are going to be days where we can practice something that's probably related to our benchmark. So, for instance, in our weightlifting day or in our weightlifting cycle, we practice weightlifting with some complexes. These days are usually slightly lower intensity to allow you time to practice. And they're also going to be either unscored or the score is going to be de emphasized. So, we focused on some weightlifting complexes during our weightlifting cycle, and I think it really helped athletes get comfortable with the barbell. During our sports cycle, our skill days are going to be focused on developing gymnastic skills. Those gymnastic skills are going to be done with a little bit of fatigue, because that's really, if we look at this workout, we're going to be chest to bar pull-ups tired. So good couple quick examples are going to be this one where we got 60 burpees. Every minute you're going to do 25 feet of handstand walk. So it's a simple workout on paper, but that handstand walk to get those burpees done quickly is going to need to be effective, and is going to need to be very efficient. And then the majority of our skill days are going to be sort of focused on diving into bar work or other kind of shaping, well fatigued. So here we have 15 chest to bar pull-ups, and then with the remainder of your time of 2 minutes, 10 burpees and 10 shuttle sprints. What's neat about these skill days is there's most of the time, not here so much, but most of the time there's built-in rest. It's going to allow you to maybe do bigger sets or bigger reps than you normally would do. And they're going to almost always be an AMRAP or workouts where there's a set time to work. So for instance, you might want to just do 15 chest to bar pull-ups here, even if you can't do that many in a row, and not worry too much about the burpee and the shuttle sprint. And that's going to help you develop your capacity in that movement. Same here with the toes to bar. And then same down here with our burpees and bar muscle ups and so forth. The other day we have is our recovery days. So what's neat about this cycle's recovery days is you're going to be working on some progressive loading, not really loading, but progressively increasing our ability to do calories on the rower and the echo bike. So this past week we did our classic sort of calorie test, or I think it's called all of the cals right here, where we go calorie row, echo bike, erg cals on the ski. Boom. Okay, and 15-12 is like a benchmark, and if some of you guys made that, some of you guys didn't, that's no big deal. But we're going to use that number here and try and maintain that, adding in a little bit more movement and a little bit more reps in a 40-minute EMOM with rest built in. And then we're going to practice that 15/12 calories again with rest again. So if we didn't quite get it here, we have some rest to do it before trying it with no rest. So you see a little progression through here on those recovery days. And then we're going to do that exact same test again. We're going to get rid of the ski erg because it's not always necessary, but we're going to up our calories a little bit. So if you guys crush that 15/12, you're going to up your number to 18/14. Or maybe you did 10 calories and you crushed it. Maybe you're going to try 12 calories this time. But you guys can see as we work through that, we're going to have some loading where we then get our number 18 or whatever number we end up with, do it again, and so forth, moving through until we finally, and I haven't written the full cycle yet, but until we get to 20/15, ideally. This might not happen. It's okay if it doesn't, but that's our goal. And regardless of where you're at, your goal in these recovery days is just to increase your ability to do the calories on the machines just a little bit over the 12-week period. And that's definitely going to pay dividends if we look back at our benchmark test, where if you've ever done a workout like this, you know it's going to be lung burning the whole time. So building up our ability to just kind of tolerate that is going to definitely help when you retest that workout. And so finally, we have our training days, the meat and potatoes. These are where our coaches put the most effort into their coaching to make sure you guys are being scaled in a way that you're going to progress. So we don't just have 1 or 3 versions of this workout. Our coaches will help you find the best version for you that day that will progress you in terms of your all of your skills or your general physical preparedness. And so for this 12-week cycle, these workouts might be just a little bit shorter in nature and include lots of complementary couplets and triplets. And so complementary movements mean movements that are like a thruster where you're using your legs to press overhead and a pull-up where you're using your arms to pull. And so those two movements almost serve as rest for each other. And so here we have that again with our ring push-up and our box jump over, 2 very complementary movements. Of course, just ignore that GHD buy-in. We're going to continue with strength, though. We're not going to negate strength, but we do want to work a little bit on our muscular endurance. So we have also included a strength cycle that includes some max effort sets here, where you guys are going to be encouraged to rep out good weights. And so for here, we have a 3x3 deadlift, just based off your CrossFit total. And then you're going to finish with one set of 80% of your best from the day, just repping it out. Okay. Same here. We're going for a front squat max and then a little bit of a twist because we've done a lot of back squats recently. We should be primed for it. We're going to take our best front squat and see how many times we can back squat it. Okay. Weightlifting is not going anywhere, but then we can see we build on that deadlift here. So now instead of doing 3x3, we're going to try and do that same weight at 3x5 and then see if we can get more reps on it. Same thing with the front squat. We're going to try and do a little bit less than our 1 rep max for 3 sets of 3 and then see what we can do with our back squat, see if we can get more reps than last time. Okay. I should say front squat. I'm going to do a little editing right now. Oops. Okay. Awesome. So, my plan is on every Sunday to give you guys a breakdown of the coming week, but I'll put a link in the video where you can click all these documents if you want, and I'll include some other documents there too, just if you want to see them, including like this document, a link to it, which has the warm-ups, as well as SugarWOD if you don't have it yet. If you guys have any questions about this, just feel free to let me know. And hopefully this was helpful. If you have any feedback, I know next time I'm going to try and script it. I know I got a little tangenty there. I'm going to try and script it next time, and maybe I'll be able to throw some graphics up. I'll figure out how to put like that CrossFit hierarchy there when I'm talking about it. But I hope this was useful. See you guys later.